the Detroit Lions beat the Dallas Cowboys 47-9. Now, this was a little bit more than a beatdown. Disrespect is different than, I'll say this actually. There's a difference between respecting your opponent and not respecting your opponent. Or there's a difference between respecting your opponent and disrespecting your opponent. Just because you disrespect someone, I know it sounds crazy and I know it sounds like a oxymoron, but just because you disrespect someone doesn't mean that you don't have respect. It just means that you're not showing that respect. I think every team respects. I mean, it's still the league. This is still the NFL. And I think that every team respects every team. But I think that there was a different feeling to this Lions and Cowboys game, especially when you see how the Cowboys beat the Lions last year and what that meant for the Lions in terms of the playoffs and how the Cowboys won. How controversial you can say it was. So going into this game, you can tell that, which is crazy, you can tell that there was a little bit more oomph. There was a little bit more to gain for the Lions than it was for the Cowboys. On top of that, which is why I said that was scary, because the Lions are also miles better than the Cowboys. The 47-9 win isn't the most disrespectful thing. The most disrespectful thing is how they were winning, how that they were running routes for their linemen. They ran multiple routes, not just a turn and catch. They were running routes for their linemen, for Penei Sewell. In the NFL, that is the highest form of disrespect. A person that doesn't have the agility, doesn't have the capability of playing wide receiver, you're running routes for them. And in no way, shape, or form did you think that they didn't let off the gas at all against the Cowboys. Going into this game, I think my question to people that are listening, my question to Cowboys fans is, what about this year? Scratch that. What about these last 2 years made you think that the Cowboys were going to beat the Lions? No, I didn't think that the Lions were going to be almost 40 points better than the Cowboys. But what made you think that? Was it the game that you essentially were supposed to lose when you played the Lions last season? Newsflash, the Cowboys aren't a good team. We've been saying this. The Cowboys are not a good team. They have good players. I think Dak Prescott is a good player. CeeDee Lamb is a good player. Michael Parsons is a good player. DeMarcus Lawrence is a good player. Trayvon Diggs is a good player. DaRon Bland is a good player. But they're not a good team. They're a team that doesn't have a running back or that doesn't have a running game, which is why still to this day I will never understand why you just gave up on pursuing Derrick Henry, who, in all intents and purposes, has been the best running back in the league this year. When you're a one-dimensional team and you're not that good, there shouldn't be much expectation because you're not that good. I think the Cowboys is that team that they've been for years. And that is a team that regularly beats up on bottom feeders. They beat up on teams that they should beat. Like, they'll destroy the Tennessee Titans. They'll destroy the Panthers. They would beat the dog-ish out the Panthers. But then when they play competent teams, when they play teams that are good, when they play teams that would make the playoffs, they usually lose those games. And I think the worst part about it is now, and that's what the difference between this year and last year is, now they're closer to the bottom feeding teams because of their own doing than the top dwellers, than the top tier teams. Dallas is now closer to the Panthers. They're closer to the Giants than they are the Ravens, the Lions, the Green Bay Packers, the last few teams that smacked them at home. Dak Prescott's good, but Dak Prescott isn't good enough to put a team on his back, a team this lacking of superior talent. He's not good enough to put it on his back and then carry them. The connection between him and CeeDee Lamb is good, but it's not groundbreaking good. CeeDee Lamb still only caught for 89 yards. And unfortunately, I don't see, unless they address their running game, which I don't know who's available right now. I don't know who. You had Derrick Henry, who lives in Dallas, who works out in Dallas, who wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy majority of his life. I don't know who would be available right now. I don't know if there was a realistic thing, but you probably could have got Saquon Barkley, seeing as though he went from divisional rival Giants to the divisional rival Eagles. So I'm sure if you would have made some moves, you may have gotten Saquon Barkley. I just don't know the wide or the running back that is available right now that will change the fortunes. I will say it yet again. Where the hell is Dalvin Cook? And I'm not saying that to say that Dalvin Cook would change. He wouldn't. But I thought that he was. People were saying, "Oh, the Baltimore Ravens lost a key piece in the running game, and now he's on the Dallas Cowboys." Well, where is he? Oh, and for Jerry Jones to go on that radio show and pretty much chastise the questions. Look, I'm not questioning Jerry Jones' ownership acumen. I'm not questioning his ability to make money. I'm not questioning his ability to essentially build a winning team. Back in the day, he ain't done that in a while. There's no way you can look at this Dallas Cowboys team and think, after losing 47-9, that this team is a. In fact, when is the last time a Super Bowl team? When's the last time the Kansas City Chiefs lost by damn near 40? Just it's probably happened sooner than I'm remembering, but it doesn't happen too often. The last beatdown I think I can remember the Chiefs have had was against the Raiders last year. But I don't even think that was by 40. So for Jerry Jones to get on that radio show and pretty much go at the host for asking him a simple question, ask him a question about like how do we change what's going on here, and he snaps at them like, "Come on, Jerry, bro, you ain't done nothing of recent merit to think that that question was not warranted. You ain't done nothing, bro. This team ain't won a Super Bowl since what 90 something." And with all this money that you dishing out, you're obviously not giving it to the right people. Cause and last thing I'll say on the Cowboys, for people that's saying that, of course it's going to happen. Michael Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence didn't play. If you think that Michael Parsons, as great as he is, if you think that Michael Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence were 40-point differences, there's an issue, bro. The Lions is a Super Bowl caliber team. And there's starting to be separation between the Super Bowl caliber teams and the teams that are not. Like, it's starting to, and we'll talk about them in a second. It's starting to look different what the Ravens are doing. Obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs. It's different what the Lions are doing. We're still trying to figure it out with the 49ers, but it's different. When the Lions have everything, when they're firing on all cylinders, it's tough to beat. Damn near unstoppable, especially offensively. When you have Jahmyr Gibbs, when you have David Montgomery, when you have Sam Laporta, when you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, when you have Jameson Williams, like when they're humming on all cylinders. Now Tim Patrick, who's been injured majority of the last few years, it's tough. But I will say this, and this is the last thing I'll say about this game. Usually, the loss of a player on the defensive side of the ball doesn't necessarily impact your chances to win a Super Bowl, your chances to win. Usually. There are some cases like you lose J.J. Watt in his prime. That's a huge loss. You lose Aaron Donald in his prime. That's a huge loss. You lose a Patrick Willis in his prime. That's a huge loss. Ray Lewis or Troy Polamalu or Edric, you lose those type of players. But usually, when you lose a defensive player, it doesn't necessarily take you out of Super Bowl contention. And I'm not saying they're exactly out of Super Bowl contention, especially when you see how good this offense is. But losing somebody like Aiden Hutchinson for the Detroit Lions is the difference between Super Bowl caliber and maybe outside looking in. And I don't mean outside looking as mean as, I still think, especially when you see how the NFC is shaping up, I think the Lions are in prime position to make a Super Bowl. But not having Aiden Hutchinson is the difference between winning it and losing it. He is, in all intents and purposes, probably their second or third best player. I'll probably say second. And losing him for the season with a broken leg. It sucks. I wish for a speedy recovery. It was definitely gruesome watching, and for some reason they kept showing the replay. But obviously, you think about the person first, and I hope it looks like he has successful surgery and he's going to be out. I think they said 4 to 6 months. So obviously that's over with for that Super Bowl, or over it for the season. But after you think about the player, you think about the team, and unfortunately, this is the unlucky card that the Lions were dealt. And this, as impactful as he is to his team, this is like the Steelers essentially losing TJ Watt. While the Steelers are still good, they're not. Aiden Hutchinson is, in all intents and purposes, their defensive MVP, and you can argue their best player. So, again, I hope for a speedy recovery, and something like this can definitely affect their chances to win the Super Bowl. But in the meantime, congratulations to the Lions for beating the Cowboys 47-9. Oh, man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.